Well, big hey now there fast. How are you?
Pretty good. Long time no see.
Long time no see. Been a busy couple weeks, that's for sure.
It has,
Woo.
yeah. And a lot of goings on the PulseChain and other places of interest, like Ethereum.
I haven't been paying as much attention as I should, I think. I don't know. I don't know. I'm here to say, though, that crypto's here. It isn't going anywhere. It's here. So
Looks like
yeah.
Ethereum and Bitcoin are making a bit of a comeback lately, so that's kind of nice. We got
What?
like
I thought
$3,300 Ethereum instead of $2,800 Ethereum.
yeah, well maybe. Maybe. Well, I hope so. It's funny how you see the this is for the beached whale. I have my cigar right here, beached whale. Still waiting for RG3 to come back. Um, for a Thursday night smoking show. Yeah. Couple days for 3-4 days, maybe last week we were getting the total FUD. It's all over, guys. The top was in. You missed it. It was October,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden it was like a little lull period, and now like the last 2 or 3 days, now I'm getting in all the feeds. Hey, it hasn't even started yet. 26. So we'll see. You know,
And you can multiply that by 4 for the PulseChain. People were giving up hope. All is lost, right? And now we're so back. Well, depends who you ask, but that's the general consensus, I think.
woe is me. Woe is me. Yeah. Well, listen, I don't really don't know what the answer is. I do know this. I do know this is that there is a top in the future. I believe like 99% sure that there will be a top in the future, and I'm 100% sure there's a bottom in the future. So, um, at least in my opinion, it's not. Is that educated? No, it's not very well qualified. But just I'm just saying, I expect that crypto is going to continue doing what crypto does over years, right? I think it reminded me this week. I better have a plan, man.
It's handy to have a plan because otherwise you panic and just press random buttons and you get sucked into the FOMO or the fear, one or the other.
Yep.
What do you think a
Yeah,
good
no,
plan is at this time?
dude. I think that there's a couple of different things I like. Um, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I asked you what the top three things were, right? And I was
Yep.
thinking, I forget what your exact answers were, but I was thinking I want some exposure to stable yield, right? In the form of maybe the stability pool on PulseX, or being more adventurous. And I'd want exposure to staking via UPulse or VPulse, because those protocols, because my numbers would be small enough if I was doing this right, that it's not a risk factor for me. It's just another way to earn, continuously. And then my third choice was Hex in one of its forms, right?
Yep.
Priority wise, which one do I think would rip? In my opinion, only my opinion, because that's how I think, is I'm thinking Hex, right, as my number one opportunity. But those are the three things I would do.
Okay, I remember this conversation. Yeah, I think I was pushing also the stables, but with a more diverse profile, um, and like liquidity fork stables because there's some good farms on Tide in particular right now, but other places too, as well as things like the Maximus DAO tokens, um, Hex derivatives. I recall you mentioning actuator protocol as well. You
I
do
did,
that
yeah.
often.
Yeah. I was talking about, at that time we were talking, I was talking about the HTT 3000s, and they're still
Yeah.
really cheap relative to Hex, which is pretty good. And the reason I brought that one up is because when you basically earn on when you buy, when you swap for it, you earn right then, right?
Well, what's the ratio right now of HTT 3000s to Hex?
Oh, I gotta go look it up. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah,
HTT down.
that's why I came up with that when I was talking about it. Boop, boop, boop.
So
Silver.
about 0.8.
Yeah, about 20% off discount wise, right? Yeah. It's a 19%
And
discount.
what hex day are we on right now?
Today's hex day is 2200. So 2200 even. And so we've got about 2.2 years left on the HTT
3,000 minus 2200. 800 days divided by 365. That's about 2.2 years.
Wow.
So you're making 20% over 2.2 years is sort of like you're guaranteed on HTTs. So if we take that 20% divided by 2.2, so it's about 9% a year guaranteed on HTT 7,000s in hex terms, or 3,000s rather. So that makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I got a
better
question.
than hex staking then, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Here's a question for you though, because you mentioned Tide. I haven't done any detailed videos on Tide, nor have I seen anybody else cover it. I mention it every once in a while. I know it's out there. I go to the website. But what's happening with that? Is it a big thing right now? What's happening? Because I heard from them that it was still in beta.
That's a good question. I've been quite distracted. It hasn't been my main focus for a couple of weeks. Let's take a look.
Well, you don't have to answer for it. You don't have to answer for them. I guess maybe it's just an area that we should go. Maybe I'll go research myself.
I don't see a beta on it anymore when I go to the site. So maybe they're calling it not beta anymore. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Well, because I'd be interested in understanding, what the possible incentivized staking over there, or farming over there looks like, and all that type of thing.
Yeah,
well.
Very, very similar profile to Fox because it's almost the same thing, right? So you have various liquidity options. Looks like farming ranging from 0% to 83% right now, depending on what you're into. So not terrible.
I like 83%. I don't like 0%.
That's on the buy communist pool, Hex, Com, and Coast.
Oh, really? Is that on? And that's on the Tide.
That's on. 0x Tide. And my bad. It still comes up as beta.0x Tide in the web address. So perhaps they are still calling it beta.
For that com pool that's over there, what's the dollar value in there?
It is like $8,000.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot because there's about that much over a P-Hawks as well. And we were talking about that in the chat. There's about that much over in P-Hawks and almost, well, you can depends how you want to count them, but there's about that much on PulseX as well. Gives us an idea of what's out there. So there is Tide liquidity. Okay.
The it's meaningful liquidity and it's very useful liquidity because it'll flow through those three tokens, right? It can go through Hex, it can go through CST, so that works. But from a farming perspective, that pool will get diluted, the yield will get diluted. If you put $8,000 in, the yield would drop from 83 to 41.5 immediately, right? Because it's not a big pool, and it looks good partly because it's a smaller pool. They do have a nice there's a nice buy T-shares pool with all the Maximus DAO tokens in it that has 30% as well, and that one's at 88k TVL, which is means that you could put 5k in. If you put $8,800 in, it would only drop by 10% by 3%. In the APR.
All right. Well, we'll table the Tide discussion until we all have more information to go look at it. But for those who are wondering what it was, it's a balancer fork that's been rolled out by the 0x Coast guys, and it's very similar to P-Hawks and how that works. Except it's a different version. and we're just waiting to see how it all plays out.
Indeed. I think when PulseChain starts to have some good pump months, all these like liquidity things are going to look good, right? There's lots of Richard Hart tokens on both PHUX as well as Tide, and they're going to pull up everything that's in the pool with them if they indeed do pump.
Mm-hmm.
Not financial advice, but I think it could happen.
Yeah, conceptually, that's the idea. Right?
Yep.
I get it. All right. Well, let's take a look. We already got some questions coming in the chat. I don't know if you have an answer to this. I'll ask you. Do you have an answer to this one? BTC market cap and total crypto market cap are treated as the same thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't treat it as the same thing. But I know people talk about it. How direct is this correlation? Can they diverge quite a bit?
Yeah, not really my area of expertise, but I would think that the total crypto market cap.
Well, isn't it really dominance? Isn't that the comparison?
BTC dominance. That's the one that people talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be the percentage of the or in the relation. I don't even follow it. We got to get somebody like Axis.
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah. Axis, Somi, St. Wolf. Those are the guys who get into those technicals. We're here for the actual tech, like how stuff works.
And then that was from Cotton Trust. This is Pocalypse is saying, hey, how much longer till the moon? I think you missed it. It already happened. We already mooned.
Really temporarily we did. There was quite the pump the other day. I think I saw PulseX at up 90%.
Oh, really? It was up pretty good. You know what caught my attention is the V3 pools for PulseX and Pulse.
Yep.
Because they came so close. It came up to like an eighth, 80%, right? So a PulseX was 80% of a Pulse. Sorry. You get my tokens right. So we got really close, heading towards parity.
Yep.
And
how is it now? It's still looking pretty good. It's still 0.81 pulse. Sorry, 0.81 pulse per PulseX. And on my V2 chart, I see it going up to 0.95. Was like the wick, the green wick. So yeah, it got pretty close to parity, as close as it's ever been, pretty much. Yeah. Oh no, it's been higher. It has been over 1, right? I remember. But getting closer. Yeah. I've heard people's suspicions that maybe it was Richard Hart buying up the PulseX tokens on that day. Seems possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I've been still waiting for the pegging of hex to hex. Hex to hex. It's getting close. It's getting closer, dude.
I heard that. What is the ratio now? Hex to hex.
We just need hex on PulseChain to drop by 66% more, and then we'll have parity. And then we
by 66%. Okay.
We can go 1-to-1, right? Almost. Right.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the play. That was always one of our tongue-in-cheek, ideas that maybe hexes will peg to the downside.
Yeah. If PHEX goes down, yes, you could get a parity that way too. I don't know. I feel like Richard Hart is less likely to pump EHEX personally, and so you're unlikely to see a parity to the upside. But downside parity totally possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not my preference, however.
So Far Aliens is talking about this token hex in the chat here. T-shares are cheap right now. 47,000 hex. Is it 47,000 hex? Did it go up that high now? I don't know if it hit 47 yet. And if it did, I missed it. So let me go check it. I'm going to check. I thought we were still at 44. and maybe it went. I've been waiting for it, but now 47 would be way too high, guy.
Maybe
I
he's
think you
talking
could only,
EHEX. Could it be EHEX?
nah,
Yeah.
either one.
Still saying it.
Hey, speaking of that, I'm waiting for the site to. Yeah, it's they're both at 43. Speaking of that, though, at 43,000 and change hex per T-share on each chain. But speaking of it, if the right circumstances come to play, we might end up with a flippening where the share rate on the PulseChain side is higher than the share rate on the Ethereum side. And that's because somebody, one of the old stakes that was supposed to end it didn't get emergency ended on PulseChain, and it hasn't come out yet. It'll be in the future, and it hasn't reached its expiration date. But they did emergency end stake it on the ETH side, and because they took it out on the ETH side, ETH doesn't get that increase because it doesn't exist there anymore. But on the PulseChain side, it does exist. So we could actually see a flipping. It won't make any difference really in the numbers. The big, we're talking about a few hundred hex difference or something. But yeah, that's interesting. And then Forward Aliens was also saying to be study hex and understand the teacher aspect. You might look at hex differently. Well, I think, sir, you were right. Though I'm going to go with I think I'm going with my continued story that if you know, you know. You either know about T-shares and you understand staking or you don't. We'll have new adopters come in for staking. But I think for a while we're going to be walled garden. And what I mean by walled garden is very low additional new people coming in. And just those who like the garden are playing in the garden, because almost no one can give you currently a very strong argument for how staking hex beats holding hex, because the time frame is so long. Right? 15-year cycle. And because it's such a long cycle, making that argument's hard. And so that means you're only going to have really fringe people like me and all the other people who are already staking.
Yeah, like you have a small group that's hyper focused who is going to stake potentially no matter what, or that's just deeply involved, right? So it's you're in the cult, sir.
Yeah, it's like the ultra cult. It's like we had the initial cult, which were the believers, and now we're going to ultra fine cult, true believers. And only like true believers get to come into the walled garden, have lunch, make their steaks, cook their steaks.
It's like a country club.
Have a piece of watermelon, whatever. They're the only people coming in. Everybody else is welcome, but hey, they don't like it, so it's okay. But yeah, that's what I think is happening.
I think your derivative products, though, could have do very, very well in the wake of reduced hex staking, right? So, like, obviously, Actuator, Maximus DAO. If Alex is talking new stuff for Icosa, or potentially, but also his Sigma thing that has a hex connection. I think things built on top of hex could be where most people push their financial incentives to.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think about that, and I like all that. I think it comes down to like this is where in the crypto world, this goes back to like planning. I mean, is this all just speculation and gambling, right? Crypto. Or are you believing it's going to go up into the right? And how long does it take for that to play out? Of course, I could have used these arguments with. I did use these arguments with Bitcoin. I guess I missed out on my $1 billion. I could have just gone and gotten all my Bitcoin, in 2010, free or for $1. Then I'd be in pretty good shape. So it's that kind of like weird, long term, like, is this all going to work out kind of argument. And so when we kind of get into there, then you're like, that's what I mean. It's very cultish now, right? And always has been, to kind of go down this road of locking up hex, right? Because you think all these other assets.
The cult to to make it be a self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree, right?
Mm-hmm. But You know what helps with that is not being too hung up on USD price. You know, like, do you ever like quit playing Monopoly because you didn't see how it related to real dollars? No, no, you just kept playing or whatever, unless you
No,
flipped over the table, right? And because you got mad. But
war was better.
yeah, I think when you think of it as like a game and paper money, even though it's real value, and I get it that people put real value on, so I'm not taking away from that. But when you disconnect it from like real dollar stuff, then it becomes really clear, that you want more units of anything, and you could talk about that with other things as well. But,
Well, units is like the belief metrics, right? Like, when you're counting your hex not in dollar terms, but in like units of hex, that means you are a true believer. If you're only worried about units and you're not worried about dollars, which if you're staking out for 5 to 15 years is a very, very relevant strategy potentially.
yeah, I see some people out here in the chat. I do think that staking is good, but then you have this. You got Hexagon Lost News. You talk about being 100% staked, and right after that, it sucks. And he says it sucks if you're all staked.
I guess it depends. Yeah, it depends what your outlook is and how often you want to look at your crypto. Like if you're staked for 15 years, what happens in the next 5 years is somewhat irrelevant, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm kind of at the point now where don't listen to me for advice, that's for sure. But I'm at the point where I'm thinking, I need to be liquid, 10%, 20% of my bag at all times, so that I can do whatever I want to do and not have to worry about it.
Moderation, you say?
No.
What a crazy idea.
Yeah, I love this story. I love this story right here. Right, Far Out Aliens talk about it. I had 100 shares of Microsoft in 1993. They'd be worth 15 million today if I just held. Yeah. That's the thing about some of this. We do talk about this from time to time. Like when we talk about hodl bags, we mean like don't touch it, hodl bag. Like if I listen to everybody, I did unload my XRP, but substantially back a couple years ago, right? But if I listened to everybody else, I would have gotten rid of all of it. So I'm very pleased that it's at $1.50 or $2 or $2.50 or whatever the hell it is now. So that's the kind of thing that can happen. Is that suddenly you come back a few years later and the price is a lot higher. Because I remember when it was a nickel,
Indeed, dollar looks pretty good compared to a nickel. But I've heard of that concept, hodl bag. Other people call it moon bag, and it's like, 1%, 2% that you just keep somewhere forever. It's not a bad idea. 1% of 100 Microsoft shares. Well, that'd be $150,000 by the math presented. It's not terrible.
Yeah, that would have been right too. Yep.
But nobody has a crystal ball, so it serves no purpose to kick yourself for opportunities past, unless you did indeed have a crystal ball and you made that choice. I think most people do the best we can, but if you can do it without emotion and with moderation, you're more likely to be successful, in my opinion.
All right. So speaking on the hex topic again, Hexagon Lost in Asia saying if you're not staked, you're not using the contract correctly.
Good point.
Agree or disagree?
Well, the contract does have functions where you can buy and sell it. All right. So that's one of the functions of Hex is buying, and one is selling, and one is staking. Right. And then there's the other nuanced things within staking, emergency end staking, etc. There's also liquidity providing. All right. So I think they're all viable. So I think it's like speculating on the short-term price of Hex. Like if you're interested in that, I don't think it's terrible. I think traders mostly get wrecked statistically, but it's more about time frame, right? So traders who will hold for a year or more probably do better than traders who only hold for a day at a time. So yeah, I think having some liquid hex, not terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally think that the product market fit is staking, right? That's how it was designed overall. And I think on a long enough time frame and with the right situation, it will be very clear that that was always the play. However, I can still tell you that's a chance, not for sure. But that's what I believe. And if and when we see 100x on Hex and it's the number one performer, then I guess other people will be like, "Hey, Crispy, you're right." And if it doesn't do that, they'll be like, "Hey, Crispy, you're wrong." And so,
Yep.
meh.
I think they'll be more likely to tell you if you're wrong, because people tend to do that. But they may well be telling you too soon. Like, you could be wrong for a while and then end up being right. So, it's a long-term product.
That could happen. And that's where, again, Fard aliens talk about, hey, the Hex token is what it is. The code's the code, man. It'll be the same in 300 years. I can't wait until we're 300 years older, and then we'll be able to see if that's the case. Green Yeeks is saying
everything works out that Richard's donated to, then yeah, maybe we can see those 300-year hex stakes come due. That'd be great. Yeah, it's a good. 300 is a multiple of 15. So,
well, by then we'll be using the Musk. What is he going to call it? Neural net. It's the replacement for the internet. So we'll be running the code in our heads. So that'd be good.
That works. Yeah. And probably people will be able to see our show in their heads too. And be like, Crispy and Fast Abdul coming to you live in your head. That'd be possible.
Hey, first principles, right? You ever the term first principles, right? And engineering.
But it's bouncing in my head like a like Isaac Asimov robot first principles.
Nah, this is more Musk related. Anyways, I won't get it exactly right, but what's the best way to fix our show is have no show, right? No show. Then just have people absorb whatever knowledge right into their brain.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
Oh, Chris Corgle. Yep, you're rich already. You missed it.
Yep.
You missed it.
We're for about 30 minutes, and now it's gone.
Yeah, hopefully
and it's gone.
Yeah, hopefully had some sort of position set to catch all that stuff. All right.
I think the pumps that we saw. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do it.
So and I'm going off memory here, so probably not totally accurate. The pumps that we saw mostly directed at PulseX. I was told it was about $1.5 million injected. That mostly got sold down, but there's still like a lasting effect on the overall price. I think that was like another test pump from the OA to see what would happen. If it hadn't got sold down, I bet you there could have been more pumps. Seems possible. It did get fairly substantially sold down. But some of those people are out, right? Like some of them were traders. So CryptoSolve did a good workup on it. He's the guy who is an on-chain sleuth, and some of them were traders who just switch back and forth, ratio trade between Pulse and PulseX, etc. But some of them were selling out, to ETH or to DAI and then bridged off chain. And I'm almost more bullish for the ones that sold out, because that means those weekends are gone, right? So you can't sell out twice without buying back in, potentially at a higher price. So I think, I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see some people foaming back in at some point. But yeah, I do think that was a test. And it came at like an auspicious time where like the ProveX sacrifice was, kind of winding down. And let me share my screen on that because relevant information. So I do think that the ProveX sacrifice had a profound effect on the price. I've heard numbers like $5 million plus that it was was sold into like of core tokens being sold. Oh, stand by. Yeah, so $5-6 million probably got sold to go into the Privex sacrifice. But now the rate, which was at bang $1 for 10,000 points, is now at $1.62 for 10,000 points. So it's I think very few people are likely to sacrifice from this point onwards. And very, very soon it's going to be at the $2 mark, right? So we really saw most of the sacrifice funds come in this first 10 days. And then they've been trickling in every day since. And even after the volume bonus got lower, or the cost per 10,000 points got higher, it still slowed down. So here we go. Yeah, 15 million. It's been hovering around 15 million for days now. In fact, I think it even went down. So they probably did some corrections on not accepted tokens. I thought I saw 15.9 at one point recently. So yeah, so I think that's kind of like, that's it. Like it's 16 million, maybe it hits 20 million by the end of the entire thing, not including what the OA does, which I think would be in these last 5 days where there is no volume bonus. And that, there could be 100 million that comes in then, but that's 100 million that's probably going to the OA and tokens that will probably go live with the OA potentially forever. So it's not nearly as relevant as the amount of money that comes in from other players between now and the end of the sacrifice period, which is January 9th.
Is it your understanding that the OA could sack?
It's my understanding that OA probably will sack, and that it will probably be in these last 5 days where there's no volume bonus. And this is similar to what happened in the Pulse and PulseX sacrifices. Is the OA comes in right here. There's no volume bonus, meaning it doesn't mess up the other people's volume bonus that they received here, right? But it still takes the majority of the tokens. So like if the total sacrifice was $20 million and then the OA put in $200 million, like they would take roughly 90% of the, the tokens, or whatever number they had to put in to take 90% of the tokens, because they could recycle that money effectively. From taking it from one pocket and putting it into your other pocket. You can do that as many times as you want, right? So that's what we saw with PulseChain and Hex, and I suspect strongly we'll see it again. Otherwise, if the entire distribution was just to the people who participated here, that would be probably a lot of tokens and would result in more sell pressure than if the OA did that. But I could be wrong. You never know. It could be a surprise.
Yeah, I see out there. I see Maddie. Hi, Maddie. How you doing? I see a question about what the OA is. We always talk about this stuff because we know.
Oh, sorry. Right? Yeah, shop talk.
But the origin address is an address that has been active in the Hex and PulseChain ecosystem, and we don't know who controls it. People have their assumptions. Like a lot of times, people say automatically that R.H. Richard Hart, the founder of Hex, controls it, but not necessarily true. But it's kind of obvious that it's proven.
Yeah, but many people.
It's kind of obvious that it's related. So it depends on what you want, legal definition or whatever.
It tends to be a very beneficial wallet that we'd call the OA. It tends to not sell the tokens and occasionally buy the tokens. So people are usually in favor. So when you look at the token distribution, the OA often has the majority of the tokens and yet never sells them.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, and in particular in the Hex ecosystem, there's been this thumb rule about the OA controlling 90% of the supply.
Yep.
If you go look at the greater macro charts, macro is not the right word, but when you start looking at things like total supply versus circulating supply and all the rest, you can just see how so much of the system is very stable. And I always kind of related it to guardrails, like the OA sets up these guardrails, right? Even if it's not doing things on a daily basis, and everybody's like operating within the guardrails. Doesn't mean things can't go up and down,
Yeah.
They do, but it's
But we've seen some big moves from the OA though, in the last year, right? Like we saw a lot of hex get staked, which reduced the amount of hex inflation by a lot, right? By like 35% or something, which some speculate could be good for the price. Less good for stakers as far as if you're trying to earn more in that timeline. And we've seen the OA, do other things with buys and such. The last batch of buys on PulseX were from effectively anonymous wallets that I've been told were funded by a Tornado Cash. So could be anybody.
right, right. That's right. Pick your flavor of conspiracy. Wear that hat.
Indeed.
One of the things I observed with the pump, because the pump was pretty big in that we went from in my world of tracking volume, we like 7x the 8x the volume in a 15, 16 hour period. I went from 3 million an hour that I track, or it should be 3 million a day that I track, to like 24 million. And then of course it came back down, of course, because things happen. But if you were really watching this, you could see, number one, the speed of money. What does that mean? Well, I don't know if CryptoSolve did the full analysis, but probably somebody could figure out like how much was input into the system and how much volume related, because it wasn't like somebody puts $1 million into the system and you get $1 million worth of volume. That's not what happens. You get $1 million in the initial pairs, and then there's like much like when somebody throws a rock into a pond, you get the ripple effect, and it ripples out, right? And all of that adds up and adds up and adds up. So we saw that in effect. And then Richard's
all the bonded liquidity, all the bots arbing between exchanges, right? Like, it could be, like 3x the amount of millions that went in terms of actual transaction volume, right?
Yeah, and maybe just 3x. I don't know. Do we know how much was spent? Do you know how much was spent?
I was told 1.5 million. What was the volume for that day?
We got as high as about 20. Well, I don't have the full number. In my world, got up to about 24, 25 million.
And what's the regular day?
Well, lately it's been like 3.
Okay, so these decent numbers. If we take 24 minus 3 million, so it's 1 million divided by 1.5. So that's about 14x is the volume according to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is just like back of the envelope math. Everybody listening, we're not saying this is how it works, but it's kind of like you put $1 million into the system and you get $15 million worth of volume.
Yeah. If I were to ballpark it, like I'd probably pull that number back to like 10 million out of 1.5, right? Just for factors that I'm not accounting for.
Well, the number itself doesn't matter. I think it's more about the idea that you have the ripple effect, right? You have to understand it.
There's a lot of fees in that kind of volume though, right? Like it's 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 like if you can get 21 million through, you 10x your volume over everything. Like there's a lot of fees on V2, V3, balancer forks. Like it's there's money moving around. It's changing hands. Meme coins are pumping and dumping within one block. Via arbitrage bots. Like there's all kinds of stuff happening in the back end that most people don't see.
Where's my money? Where's my money? Right? As those pools start moving, they do that. Hey, the other thing we saw is Richard's favorite subject of reflexivity. Richard Hart's law, if you want to call it that, whatever. Replica. Yeah. I guess that's the right way to say it. But anyways, things that were tied well with Pulse, they got up and moved. They got an inordinate amount of that volume. In tokens that were not paired up strongly with Pulse, they didn't get as much. All right. And so I don't know if you guys remember Richard talking about this recently. when he was beaten up on Johnny Chaos. Well, I didn't take it that way, but maybe somebody took it that he was complaining about Johnny Chaos and saying, "You're an idiot for putting up LP with E-Die. You should be putting it up with Pulse." But here's the thing: is E-Die actually, or in the case of the surgical trainers token, it's actually EUSDC. But regardless, E-Die has a hell of a bid, man. That's a fast moving token on our chain. But
Yeah.
his point was that it's better because stables will hold the price down, keep it from going up too fast, right? Which it may, it depends what you want. If you want that, then great. But if you don't want that and you want to get full price discovery, you don't want to really be tied to stables heavily. But you do want to be tied to Pulse. Anyways, I saw in the charts that things that were tied with Pulse, they move pretty good.
Yep. Like tying something into stables is great on the other side, right? Like, if you have liquidity tied to stables, it's going to help keep the price up when there's downward momentum, right? So in a perfect world, like, you'd pull your LP on your community token at the very, very top, and then you tie it all to stables, and then it would slide gently down into the bear market with nary a dip. But that's more crystal ball stuff.
Yeah, other than stables themselves, there's only a few tokens I can think of that I actually can see them not going down ever, like in a bear market. Johnny's favorite pet token, surgical trainers, the way he set it up, probably will never go down. Glory from the old Glory Bank token, which nobody has any knowledge about and doesn't know if it's ever going to be used, but the way it's LP'd and it was backed by stables to start with, it's probably never coming back down. Just like two examples. P-Die, sorry guys, until somebody does something different, it's coming down. Let's see, what else?
Or going up. We don't know.
Oh yeah, it could go up too. Yeah,
it's not staying at $1. We do know that. We're even going to $1 quite likely.
Well, somebody could make it, but they got to have a lot of money to do it. That's all.
Yeah,
so they got to, if the community can make it happen, and the assets may. I think without getting into that subject, just kind of like in general, if I had enough assets, even if they're shit assets, if I had enough tokens on PulseChain and I put them up against a token, I can peg it, right? Because if you can over collateralize, hundreds of thousands of percent, you can really make things pretty sticky. We'll see what happens.
Well, I could make a token that was worth $1 right now with only a penny of liquidity, right?
Well,
it's or $1 million with only a penny of liquidity.
Well, as long as you never sell any. But that's kind of Johnny actually put more money up than that. But I think he seeded it with like 10 grand or something with his. We even have people building now off of the surgical trainers token.
Oh, really?
And doing that.
What are they building?
That's called S-Load. I don't know if you saw it. I'm not promoting, guys. I just know that the guy I know who is the founder of that token put it up and used the liquidity tied to surgical trainers, because what he's trying to do is create again something that's pretty stable. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that I would say I know about that can't come down, or I don't expect it to come down. Right.
Cool. Well, that's an interesting experiment. I'd like to keep abreast of what happens with surgical trainer token.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think when we start getting into, we'll move off this topic maybe, because I don't think people like all this detail. It's hard to follow. But the other, what you're doing with what the guys have been doing with Vouch and the tax token and having all the mechanisms, that obviously has come down, but it has made it more sticky. And I know you took some of the techniques and you're applying them, including LPX to, to Vault 6369. So yeah, I'd like to, I don't know, we'll watch this stuff. I mean, Maddie had this theory, Maddie Olin, at one point, that you could create something that is fractionally supported, in a way that it'll never come down. So I know there are other people that have kind of tried to think that through, but mostly when you try to make something that doesn't come down, the same things affect it going up, right? Because the lifeblood of a market is the cycle. You got to think of it as breathing, right?
Facts.
Right,
I think with like the thing about markets is that there is so much flow, so it's pretty hard to make something stay up in the worst of times and stay down in the best of times, depending what it is. So we've got some LPX we could take a look at here. You mentioned the Vault token. It's I've been quite impressed with LPX with Vault. So right now there's 7,300 DAI from Ethereum waiting to buy the dip on the Vault token. So
yeah, that's pretty big.
And that came from like the pump that we recently had on the chain where everything pumped and then everything went back down. So, but from that pump, LPX was able to harvest $7,300 into a buy wallet. And we're talking like liquidity on Vault is like 40 some $1,000. 40K liquidity in the main pool anyway. So $7,300 is meaningful, right? So, and it's going to buy the dip with like whenever somebody gets out in a hasty way, right? There's a no trade zone of 4.8%. So my understanding is the dip has to be bigger than that, and then it's going to buy. And it's made a pretty good sideways chart in a time where not much is going on. And I think at the very least, LPX is going to help it stay sideways instead of down. Though, I have a lot of faith that, and this isn't financial advice, just from past experience, I think when there's an actual protocol launched behind this, and there's all kinds of utility that people may reflect on the current price and decide that's not right. But having that $7,300 backing to buy the dip, I think is going to be really good for the chart. And so far it has been. I'm quite impressed with it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. Because you can see right above that is the Quattro Cinco token.
I've been looking at that because this is one of the only ones that's beating me as far as the amount of liquidity that's there. Mm-hmm. We got 11% APR going on there, 2.34 trade zone, and $8,600 waiting to buy.
Yeah, at one point it was, I forget how high it went. I think it went almost to 18K.
Oh, really?
At one point it was up there. So yeah, I said that was set up because Quattro Cinco, I love it. So just the fact to have it, it's a pump tires token that got abandoned.
Yeah,
inverted, and so we rescued it. Right, several of us went and bought it, and then bought it off the market. Right, and then the LPX guys put it up on LPX, and now it's loaded with LPX. So the idea was to, besides supporting the brand, right? If you have a token called hex.com diamond, you don't want it to be in the trash, right? So we don't, anyways, right? So we wanted to support it. But now with the LPX, what we've been able to see is what you're seeing with Vault. This pumping that just took place wasn't because somebody sat down. It could have been, but generally the pumpage that just took place, they didn't sit down and go, "Hey, I want to go buy Vault 369. Let me buy $10,000 worth." That's not what happened, right?
No.
What happened was
all about bonded liquidity.
Yeah, and this is important, right? So what really happened is the bonded liquidity was that somebody else went and bought something else, and it caused the token to go up in price, right? Yep. So it was demand that was coming from the system, not from individuals, right? And so when that happens, and these treasuries get in the LPX are able to build up value, it gives it the ammunition to be able to make the market, to be able to buy the lows. But it's going to be buying the lows from the users, not the system, because it's not a system dump. Now, a system dump could also happen too, right, at some point in the future. But the point is the way it's set up is to be able to support the token and create impermanent gains over cycles while generating. And so far, that's what we've seen with it. It's working really well.
Yeah, like look at this one with PulseX die. It's got almost 50K in reserve. It's paying out 16% APR, just about. And I bet you that did very, very well off that last pump that was mostly focused on PulseX and mostly went away after. This was probably not a bad place to be. And of course, the end goal, depending on the makeup of these pools, but with like Vault, for example, it's 100% compounding, right? There's no profit taking set in the rate. So like ideally, this number on the left, the total number of tokens, ends up being bigger, and the number on the right still exists, even if it's smaller than the current, right? So it ends up with tokens taken off the market and a stabilized price. It's a good position going forward.
Yeah, they're getting close to being able to release what they call LPX 3.1.
Yep.
And LPX 3.1, I don't know version numbers, what they're doing, how they came up with 3.1, but I would be able to go in and set up my own personal LPX and private LPX for whatever token.
And anybody would be able to, right? That's the concept.
Yeah, I think in this one, nobody else can join. In the one they're coming out with, they have a lot of plans for a lot of different things, but I think within 3 weeks or so, we'll have these new LPXs out, and people have the opportunity to set up their tokens. And they've been providing good answers and FAQs and stuff on it. People need to do their own research before they jump into it. But the idea, again, is to support as many tokens as possible, at least their idea, with these types of market making mechanisms to help sustain prices. So,
yep. But look at Print did a good run, I think, on the same. There's less in there than there is in the Vault pool, but it managed to acquire 1,300 ink dollars against Print, which is cool. Ready to buy the dip there as well. So, and there's some novel pools in here. I didn't realize the Hedron and Icosa were in here.
Oh yeah. The Hedron Icosas they're busy, man, all the time. I don't know what the percentage is that they got.
Look at this pump, 18% APR on pump token, 12% on most. Top Hat, I think that coffee is 21%. Helgo, that's an interesting one, 10%.
Oh yeah, Helgo is another busy one because it's hex based. In that it's hex, right? It gets a lot, its primary liquidities with hex, so it moves around a lot. So anyways, but we'll see how this all comes out. It'll be pretty good. I like it so far.
Indeed. Yeah. I think right now, I think it seems to be primarily a tool for founders. I bet I would theorize that those are the main participants, but founders and whales, right? But like when we start to look at these APRs, like 15% APR, then why many people would be interested in that.
I think it's more than that, but I do. What I would say is this: with a little bit of support, anybody can go use LPX, right? With a little bit of support.
Agreed. It's not that hard pressing the buttons. Like definitely not harder, but easier than adding V3 liquidity.
So I think there's a really strong use case for users and people. Hey, listen, people aren't going to use it, and that's fine. Some people will, some people won't. I mean, it's crypto, it's DeFi. You do what you want to do. You have to risk assess this and decide how much you would do anyways, and whether you want to do it, and all that kind of stuff, right? But here's the thing: is how I can see something like this being used is a continuous money printer, right? As a continuous money printer, because even with tokens that I have, that somebody might have that are like meme tokens, we all have the same type of challenges. I'm either going to do PvP, and I'm going to try to sell before you sell, or I'm hodling. But if I'm hodling, I still got to time the market and get it. If I'm going to take a profit, right, before you take a profit, I'm saying you because of, from that point of view. But what if somebody drops at 50%, right? Which happens on a lot of these tokens, right? So I can see a pretty strong use case for why would I even hold any of a meme token liquid? Why would I even hold it liquid? I put it in LPX. Why wouldn't I put it in LPX and earn, you know, relatively risk-free DAI, like on a daily basis forever, right? So anyway, like this kind of, you know, so it becomes less about, hey, my, you know, my dog coin, you know, went down, went up. I don't care. I just want to see volatility. You know, let the people who want to trade those go trade them, right? Because that's part of the market. You have to have that to have the volatility, but I don't have to do it, right? I can just
for meme tokens, like there's still more risk because it's a meme token than for utility tokens that, you know, have a like potentially longer shelf life, right? But the other side of the meme tokens is that, like, if like you're getting some utility out of something that had no utility typically, because like you have some APR, you have some arbitrage value. Plus, if it moons, right? Like, so let's say there was a 20x on Quattro Cinco DAI pair there. What happens then, Crispy? What happens if you're in that pool and there's a 20x on 5555 DAI, or just on the token itself?
In theory, the way it's set up now, it'll collect value all the way up into 3077 according to the thing here, and then it'll just sit there and arb back and forth. So it would convert almost entirely to DAI, but that would be a boatload of DAI.
Yeah,
and
that's like where at a 20x, like, and you wouldn't get a 20x because it would have been selling on the way up. But like you'd average what, a 10x approximately?
Yeah, you can do half. Yeah, you do just say half. Yeah.
So, and if because you were doing this, you held that token instead of selling it because you're like, well, I'm going to hold this and get 11% APR, and then one morning you wake up, it did a 20x, and you only got a 10x, but like you would have sold it a 2x, you know, 3 months ago. You know, that would be a happy ending.
Yeah, very happy ending, right? I mean, a lot of people, I don't know, like how would we have 35 million in there now? Let me look.
Let's see, 314 million and change.
All right, 314 million, right? Let me go see where.
Out of 1 billion total supply, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
yeah,
it's like it's more than a third of tokens are in there.
Yeah. Well, when we started, it was like 800 million was in the LP. It was like all in the LP at that point.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because people
must have started quite low then. Yeah.
Well, it was pump tires, right? And so it didn't go. I don't know who actually created it, to tell you the truth, but
they're probably out, whoever they are.
Let's see here. I'm sorry. Let me look here real quick on price. All right. So today, on paper, you said it's 315 million?
Ish, 314 and change. You round up to that.
I'll just use 300 million. How about that? I'm going to say 300 million. All right. So, again, pump tires, right? So it's about 23K, right? And so at 23K times 10 would be that pool, if we're just assume, like for the sake of argument, that it goes up 10x in value what you have in the pool. You know, it's a $230,000 LPX, right? But that's not the whole story, because while that was happening, the price would also be going up, and your LP would have 10x'd. And the LP, I don't know, so it's running, I think it's running about 26K right now or something, 20K.
Yep.
So you would end up with like $200,000 in LP with Pulse, plus any other LPs that are out there, and this bag over here of similar value in DAI, if this was all to happen, right? It's not going to be a straight line like this. It's always going to be this volatility. And so, yeah, I had to answer the question in my head, would that be useful? Would it be useful to have an LPX that was converted 100% to DAI? And this might be one of those cases where if that was to come to pass, that the token might not come down as hard. right? Because what could draw it down if it's going to buy it all back? You know, I don't
But
know.
essentially you'd be doubling your liquidity, right? So like if it was, if it was 10 million in the liquidity pool and 10 million in LPX, you have $20 million in effective liquidity. It's going to come down a lot slower than if you had half that. Especially since half of it's bonded. Like I know this isn't liquidity in a traditional sense. It's not V3, but like it is stable coins in the pool that we're looking at. So like if the prices come down of Quattro Cinco token paired against Pulse, and the price of Pulse is also going down, but on LPX there's a big pile of DAI, like let's say $1 million for the DAI.
It would mitigate that, yeah.
It would mitigate it a lot, yeah.
Bring it down.
I would think so.
Right. Well, enough of that stuff, I guess. But yeah, so the LPX long term, we'll have to wait and see what happens. And the other thing to think about with this is when we talk about them coming up with these new LPXs, you'll be able to set it yourself. You don't have to like deal with the settings. You can change them. Well, like we talk about it like it's set in stone because we have these other older ones that were launched, but they're not set in stone. They can be changed. And in fact, I think professional market makers would, that'd be part of their daily routine, right? Look at my numbers and make adjustments, based on what I think is going to happen. And some will be more, risk on than others, I guess, in what they do, and then just manage it from there. All right. Well, Mr. Fast, you have anything specific you want to bring up before we start moving on towards the end of our show?
I just wanted to share this one tweet that I did, just because I thought it was something that I came up with. I was up until 2 a.m. working on it last night, and I released it today. Let me find it. And I think it's worth a minor discussion. So I was looking at ProveX, and I was like, okay, what could you do with ProveX? Playing with AI, going back and forth, arguing with myself effectively, and I came up with this concept. See, I got some magazines here.
I see it.
So we got some Richard Hart Team magazine subscriptions. ProveX could be used to bring subscriptions to crypto, which, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. It's a $1 trillion industry, like to have subscriptions. And I've gone back and forth talking with some other dev types, and there's various angles, but the main concept is that like your subscription company, like be it, Netflix, Amazon, whatever, like they're looking for a Web 2 confirmation with webhooks and things like that a payment was made and who it was made by. Is it the same account as last time? All those details that are not part of crypto, but like ProveX being, essentially a new improved version of ZKP2P, should be set up to do that, right? It should be able to provide that Web 2 confirmation. So you can go from fiat to crypto. You can also go from crypto to fiat. It's, providing, you can provide confirmations to banks that something has happened. So you can certainly provide it to Netflix if they opened up that portal. And it would be a lot easier than, like, there are places where you can pay for stuff with crypto. Like you can buy a Lambo with crypto. I looked that up. You can. They'll take Ethereum and stuff. But like you can't pay for your Netflix with crypto, the $8 a month they charge, or for YouTube or whatever X charges to have a blue check mark. Can't remember how much it is. Crypto is not an option for those things because we're missing like the Web 2 component, and ProveX will be set up to do that. The only part that it's not set up to do is the reoccurring payments, but there's other ways to do reoccurring payments in crypto. And the concept I came up with was that you could have I'm calling it the ProveX subscription wallet, which is 100% me and 0% Richard. He may or may not agree or have this idea, but like you could have a wallet held funds where your payments were withdrawn from, and that would, make those reoccurring payments. But like
Mhm.
the bottom line, and I think that the major part is that ProveX is set up to actually provide the Web 2 confirmations that, and most of the world still runs off Web 2 technology. The Web 2 confirmations that, these traditional subscription platforms need to be able to process the payment and assign the value to the correct customer. So I think it's outside of this type of thing that Richard usually does. Like this requires real world business dealings on some level, but it could be something that's built on top, or it could be something where he changes his world view and decides like, yeah, let's reach out to Amazon and YouTube and X and make some deals, get them using ProveX. Because I think there's a huge opportunity here with that. What do you think, Crispy?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the details there. I think there's definitely ways to actually automate that online.
Yep.
On chain, what I mean. Now, we do get into this little technical glitch, right? Of PulseChain can't be automated, blah blah blah. But there are a lot of stuff happening on PulseChain that's not automated, guys. Right? There are bots that are reaching in, pushing buttons all the time. But anyways, I would let that be this.
Had a concept like he's and this is an actual dev, and he's using dev talk, so we don't all understand what he's talking about. But he says like ERC 4337 account abstraction could enable pre-authorized monthly auto payments. So it's like there's pieces that you can put together that already exist, combined with being able to give Web 2 confirmations with something like ProveX that could make this work, right? Like it might not work out of the box day one, but like you could make it work, which I think is, enough for me to look closer at it. Cause like literally like $1 trillion subscription services. Even if like we had a sliver of that, like it would be very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Well, subscriptions make the world go round now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, people get like soap and toilet paper delivered on subscriptions. I want to pay for my toilet paper with PDI from PulseChain, and I'd like to enable that subscription.
What did I tell you about the first principles, right? What's the best toilet paper? No toilet paper.
You could already probably figure out how to buy a bidet with crypto, because that's not really a subscription service. But paying your water bill, that would be a thing, right?
Bidet.
Reoccurring payments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's
making me think. Making me think. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Matthew P. Very nice of you to say that Fast and Crispy are valuable members of the PulseChain community. I will agree with you that we are valuable members. There are also other valuable members, but we're valuable members.
Also true.
And
we I appreciate that. We don't actually get that many compliments.
No, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite usually.
Yeah.
There's the silent majority out there. They want to hear from people. It's all good. It's all good. Well, so the end is not nigh, not near, that I can see. I don't know. I'm in good spirits crypto-wise. So just waiting to see. I mean, this is kind of how crypto is, right? 1 minute you hate it, the next minute you love it, next minute it sucks. Everything's gone, never coming back.
I'm bullish.
I thought you went by Fast. I thought that was somebody else. I thought Bullish was a different character.
There is a character named Bullish.
There's a different character.
He's my friend right now.
Yeah.
I'm bullish on PulseChain and crypto in general. Still, I feel like we're early, and I feel like our season has not happened yet.
Not yet. But it will. It will. I think
so. Yeah, I think stuff's happening. Like people are negative right now when, and I'm not one of the wall watchers. I don't really push this activity, but there's like 13 plus wallets floating around on PulseChain, funded by Tornado Cash, like, you know, with millions of dollars in them. And like, and you're bearish, really? You know, and then we have like the ProveX thing with like fairly definitive information on when it's coming out and what it will be. And you're still bearish, right? Like there's a lot of bullish things going on that it just, like, the logic of being bearish right now, it just doesn't add up for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would be bearish if I thought it was logical.
Yeah, and you do see that a lot with people, right? They just be like, there's no reason to flip, but what it is the pain has become so great, you know, that they flip bearish on things.
Yep. But there's a solution for that, and the solution is crying in your shower and not telling anyone. You know, just go have a little cry in the shower; it'll be fine. Just don't tell anybody you cried in the shower, and then go back to work. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. Or come build some stuff.
No, most people should not do that.
Or come stream. How about that?
Yeah, stream. Everybody can stream.
Come
great.
learn.
Yeah,
go make you know, everybody can make a TikTok. Go make a TikTok. You know?
Totally. Yeah. Or just press the share button. Pressing the share button is something that many people could do that actually has a profound effect. So everyone, please share to X. Please press the like button. Please follow Hexfire and Fast Abdul.
Like and share, follow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it for tonight, everyone. You gotta stay crispy out there. Come see us next week. We'll try to stream again, and with that, we'll finish out with T. Yeah. How about that? Maybe.
Let's do it.
Maybe we'll
see what happens.
We'll see if he plays.
Yo, T. Urgent hex buy signal. Charts flaming hot.
Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares.
Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it! Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.